This is Clash of the Cores.
We're like normal people that just love band way too much.
George Hopkins is not happy about boys with booty shorts.
Now all you're thinking about your seat.
If you want to see me ice my nutsack, you got a great view for it.
This is Clash of the Cores, a reality TV show centered around drum corps. I somehow never watched this show until now, and I remember there was a lot of buzz about it in the drum corps community back in 2016, but, well, I guess I just didn't care about it. Under the direction of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, of all people, only has one season that consists of 8 episodes lasting about 20 minutes each. Not gonna lie, I thought The Rock was gonna make some appearances in this, but he never does. I guess he just chose to stay behind the scenes and let the members be the featured product. Anyways, throughout this show, we are following the Cadets and the Blue Devils throughout their journey from spring training all the way through finals. Oh man, who's gonna take home the title of Drum Corps World Champion? Neither of them are. The Bluecoats won that year. In fact, Downside Up is one of my favorite shows of all time. And that is probably the biggest problem with this show. It really hypes up the mystery of who's gonna be the winner. But the show comes out after finals, so we already know what place everyone got. This is like having the ending of the movie spoiled for you before you even watch it. Even watching this 8 years after it happened, I still remember that the Bluecoats won in 2016, and I guess I just assumed that the Blue Devils got second because, well, they always get either first or second. I did not remember that the Cadets got 6th, though, and I was actually rooting for them during this entire show to place up higher. But I suppose that the average Fuse TV viewer, they wouldn't know any better, and I guess that's something to consider with this show, is it's not just made for drum corps fans, it's made for the entirety of anyone who watches media. In my research, I came across this video from CJ's Music, and he made a good point about this as well.
When the show is out after the season ends, DCI as a whole loses that opportunity to sell tickets to those people that might be interested and attended a live show after watching. Those people that only heard of drum corps through that TV show are not remembering it enough to go out and reach out to DCI to go get tickets to watch the shows the next season. And that's where the show fails.
This is a tough show to make from a scheduling standpoint because I realize it takes a hot minute to edit all these clips together, so you can't exactly release the episodes as the season goes on. It's a real catch-22 right there. All of that aside, this is the first DCI documentary, in quotes with that word, that has ever been produced by somebody outside of the activity, as far as I'm aware. But did this show do a good job at accurately portraying what drum corps is like? As a DCI vet, there was definitely a lot of, I guess, reliving the good old days throughout this show. It was cool to see the day-to-day behind-the-scenes action, and that really brought back some fond memories. That was probably the most entertaining thing for me, is just seeing the kids, messing around and being goofy young adults. Those were some good times being a goofy young adult, and now I'm just a goofy regular adult. We started off in episode 1 at the Cadets audition camp. Kobe here gets a trumpet spot, a very heartwarming moment indeed. But I am on high alert with these kind of moments, okay? I don't trust reality TV for a second. How much of this stuff is over-dramatized or scripted to make it more interesting, quote-unquote, for the viewer? Well, I think this moment was probably real-ish, but fast forward to spring training here, we have this drama where Victor, our color guard captain, he just decides that he has had enough and goes home. Then we have some heartwarming moments with his family, and then he decides to come back after he missed learning about 3/4 of the show. He just jumps right back into his role as one of the lead performers of the show. There's a lot that seems fishy about this story, and I mean, yes, sometimes people, they do have to leave tour, maybe for, they got injured or having mental health problems or family issues, whatever the case, it does happen. But at the top 12 DCI level, it is highly unlikely that the staff is just going to accept the fact that you're missing a gigantic chunk of the season. They wouldn't just leave your spot open, not knowing if you'll come back at all. You would get replaced as soon as possible. Gotta keep the production moving forward. You can't do that when people are missing all the time. So I'm just realizing this as I'm editing this, but the day that he went home and the day he returned, supposed to be several weeks in between, both Victor and this other girl, they're wearing the exact same clothes. Yeah, this crap was filmed on the same day. The whole story was made up. Victor, if you're watching this video, please enlighten us in the comment section on how real this actually was. Then there's this interaction with the Blue Devil snare line, which I actually laughed out loud with how scripted this sounded.
Is that all you care about?
Yeah. Is that all you're thinking about? Your seat?
Kinda.
The block's over when I say it's over, Brandon. You even care? Clearly not. Brandon, wait!
And this got me thinking with, all these potentially scripted moments is how distracting was this, having this filming crew around for all of tour for the members? Because marching a drum corps, that is a lot of work and can be very draining. And now we're adding this extra stuff on top of it. We're doing interviews and we're constantly performing for the camera. I feel like this would just be a massive distraction for everybody involved and might actually take away from the experience. Back to CJ's video, I found this comment by Kyle. Yo, what's up, Kyle? He's saying that it was indeed a distraction for him, and he wasn't even marching Cadets or Blue Devils, so it must have been way worse for the people that were involved in those corps, having this big production just going on for all of tour. So we know that the Blue Devils ended up beating the Cadets, and I feel like this show was kind of picking and choosing negative clips on the Cadets side to kind of make the audience realize why that happened. They definitely used a lot of clips of Cadets rehearsals where people were making mistakes or getting injured, and it seems like all the interviews with the Cadets was just about negative stuff, like what was going wrong in rehearsal or what needed to change with the show design. Whereas on the other end, the Blue Devils interviews were much more positive. This kind of seems like slander against the Cadets, because I'm sure the Blue Devils also had to change stuff. There was probably members making mistakes here and there, but they didn't show that as much. Another issue with making a drum corps reality show is that there are so many people involved with a drum corps. You've got 150 members, probably something like 30 people on the staff, and we are following 2 drum corps, so that's like 360 people. When you think of other reality TV shows, there aren't nearly as many people as that, so we can deep dive into all their backstories and really get to know each of them. But Clash of the Corps, it obviously didn't feature all 360 people in the drum corps, but I felt like there were definitely a lot of people that they were trying to interview and talk about. I don't know, I felt like it was just like too many people trying to be talked about all at once. Along those same lines, they did not go into depth about what the shows were about. Like, all we really got was that the Blue Devil show was Shakespeare and the Cadet show was statues. Some of you might remember that the original Cadets show title was Stoned, and we can see some Stoned merch here and there throughout the show, and I always giggled when that popped up. But they don't talk about these shows nearly enough. I would have definitely liked to see some more time for the show designers to discuss the show in depth, rather than when they showed the members trying to uncomfortably explain their show.
Try to escape from being a statue, and then like I don't know, basically about how you like everyone is a statue on the field. Another huge issue was that they barely showed any segments of the actual show being performed. There was maybe like 10 seconds of show excerpts max in each episode, and sometimes they would just overlay a random track over top of them marching that had nothing to do with the show.
EMCProductions is proud to present the Cadets.
I'm guessing that's due to the copyrights, but, well, maybe they should have tried harder to obtain the rights, because this is a music competition. We want to hear the music, okay? Honestly, this little improv jam in The Rock's YouTube promotional video, this 2-minute clip featured more actual performing than the entire show did. And as a drum corps fan, I always root for the show that I like the best. Like, this past year, Boston Crusaders had my favorite show, so the whole time I was rooting for them and hoped that they would win. And the problem with Clash of the Corps only showing these small snippets of show music out of context is that I did not know if I liked Cadets or Blue Devil show better, so I didn't know who to root for. I honestly found myself just rooting for both of them equally, which kind of defeats the purpose of it being a clash. And also, this clashing of Blue Devils and Cadets, that never actually happened during the show, because Blue Devils, they were placing ahead of the Cadets for the entire time. Now, if the show featured Blue Devils and the Blue Coats, that would have definitely been more clash-like. like. But I mean, they have to pre-plan what corps they're going to follow around, so there's no way of knowing which corps are going to be fighting for first place. That's going to change every single year. And this got me thinking, would the show have been better if it only followed one drum corps around instead of two? Because then we would be rooting for that drum corps. No matter what place they were getting, we would still root for them to do as good as they possibly could. And also, if it's just one drum corps, we could have gotten more in depth with some of the members' backstories, because, well, now we're just focusing on half the amount of people than we did. These are all great suggestions that will probably never happen, because the show was not brought back for a second season and probably never will be. It's been 8 years since the first season aired. Compose a comment if you have any further inside information on this show. I would be very interested to hear it. Click on this video right here for more drum corps videos, and have a good morning.